chlorophyll. We've got Tony Wood. Now we're dirty.
If you pay X amount of money,
Dear Lord, I'm longing for that chlorophyll flesh is blood.
Hey, what's
Still
up,
sounds like a lot of work.
everybody? It's your boy Clint Clark again, back with episode 3 of Pajama Wrestling 101, which I believe, I don't know, am I pointing to it, Michael? Is
You
that
are.
there
Right
you go.
on it.
I get this green screen, like, oh my God. So anyway, my guest today is Mr. Michael Wood, black belt out of the great state of Missouri. And
Yes, sir.
you have a guest over there on your right shoulder.
Yeah, this is Brisket. He's going to hang out with us.
No, did you name him Brisket because is smoking barbecue a passion of yours?
So we do competition barbecue, and he stumbled up to us at a barbecue contest several years back, and we decided that if he came back the next day, we would keep him. And he was just a little skinny, emaciated kitten with worms and ear mites, and he's not skinny anymore. He's like 18 pounds. So
Right, yeah. We've got a healthy cat that my wife just told me we were adopting. I
how it works.
I had no say in the matter at all. So now you think we're ultra heavyweights.
Uh-huh.
So you think we're going to talk jiu-jitsu, but no, I'm going to talk to you about barbecue now.
Sweet. I'm in.
So how many barbecue competitions have you done? What's the name of your team? Give me the lowdown on that, Michael.
So I'm not going to say that I cooked the contest. I show up and I watch my brother-in-law cook the contest. I cooked one contest and I hated it, but
Okay.
I have done, over 200 with him, and he continues to cook constantly without me, and I make it whenever I can. Getting Basted is a barbecue team name, and now he's got, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 restaurants under that name, and he's won, I don't know, a bunch of world championships, team of the year, all sorts of fancy stuff, and he cooks better when I'm not there, I think.
Yeah, you hold him back. What's your favorite meat to cook? If you're doing a cook in your backyard, you having me over, what are you cooking?
It's either going to be wings or a tomahawk ribeye.
Oh, I love a good tomahawk on the smoker.
Yeah, I do the reverse sear. I can't grill to save my life, so I got to do the reverse sear.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I bought a new smoker. I'm lazy, and I have mad respect for guys like you and your brother-in-law that go to these barbecue competitions and do that. I have an electric smoker. I'm just super duper lazy.
How dare you, sir?
Yeah, I know. I'm like, my man card. But I know I've gotten good at it through the years. I've cooked a lot of good, cooked a lot of good meats on there.
Yeah. They're handy to have because those electric ones and the pellets are the same way. It's like an oven, so you don't have to sit and watch the fire. So you kind of take that element out of it, and even if it doesn't turn out a good product, and you got to wear skinny jeans when you use it or whatever. But they're fine.
This is my podcast. You can't come on and insult me.
I didn't mean it.
Well, that's it for Pajama Wrestling 101, episode 3, y'all. You know what? I've got this. I call it redneck meatloaf. I got it off a Facebook post. What I do is I'll take usually 2 pounds of ground pork sausage, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Pork sausage. Then you take 2 pounds of ground beef. You mix it together, put a little bit of spices in it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then put bacon on top.
Oh yeah, a little bacon weave on it.
Yeah, I'll throw that in the smoker.
Oh yeah.
And then crisp the bacon up, and I love it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Then I get done, I take my skinny jeans off, and I go on about my business. So,
put your big boy pants back on.
Put my big boy pants on, yeah. I enjoy if I'm grilling, I'm using the grill, I'm using charcoal. Mm-hmm. But when it comes, I think it's because I've got the ADHD.
Yeah.
I tell everybody, as country as this voice is, and it's pretty country. I don't hunt, nor do I fish.
Right.
Because I just don't have the patience for it.
Yeah. Well, especially, when you're smoking, you're doing those longer cooks, you're cooking a brisket for 12 hours or 15 hours or whatever those crazy people are doing. You don't want to sit and babysit a fire. We cook on basically we're cooking on a trash can, just cooking hot and fast. So we're doing a brisket in 5 hours. So,
Oh wow.
we don't get bored as much,
Yeah, no,
which
I get bored.
when we switched to that, we thought it was like, oh, we're going to get so much more sleep. We don't have to wake up at, 2 a.m. to light the fire. No, it just means that you drink a lot more beer and you feel worse the next day.
Well, that's a good thing. So now, though you are a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, tell me,
Yes, sir.
where did you grow up and how did you get started in Jiu-Jitsu?
Oh, well, it's a pretty boring story. So I grew up in Nevada, Missouri, a little small town, like 8,000 people. Um, Played football 1 year and tore up my knee. And the doctor's like, well, we can operate or you can quit playing sports. And I'm like, I'm garbage at sports. I'll just quit playing sports. That's fine. I
Yeah,
played a couple years of baseball after that and, some street hockey. And I played 2 years of golf in high school, but that was it. And so I wasn't ever athletic, didn't really ever lift weights. And at one point, I was it was 2003. My friends were like, hey, you got to do something other than lay on your couch and drink beer all the time. I was like, well, that doesn't sound very fun. I
yeah.
kind of knew.
They've got some nerve.
Right, I know. So I
Like,
was like 400 pounds, completely sedentary. And I kind of knew I had a problem when I was sitting there one night and I was eating Burger King. I don't eat Burger King. I think that's just horrible food to eat. And I was like, man, this isn't even good food. And I've eaten it twice this month. This is real bad.
yes,
So I was like, all right. So my friends were like, all right, let's go do something. We're going to get you into MMA. And they went over to a friend's house and watched MMA card. I can't even remember. Sean Shirk was on it and Joe Stevenson was on it. And I was like, yeah, I don't really want to do this at all. Kind of a pacifist, not really into it. And went out to. I had some friends that were fighting, and they're like, "Well, come over here. We're doing a little light training at the house." And a guy punched me in the stomach, and I was like, "No, that's not really for me."
yeah,
And I saw them do that wrestling, and I'm like, "Well, that looks even harder." So one of my friends is like, "Hey, my he was taking Kempo karate, and he's like, my instructor's starting an MMA program. He used to teach MMA back in the day. Come on down." So I came down. That was November of 2006, and it was just straight MMA, and I was just fat and out of shape, and I absolutely loved it.
right,
I'm
yeah,
wearing like baggy sweats because I was trying to hide my fat rolls, and and I was, you know, I worked my butt off, and I was like, man, this is great. And I was sore in spots I didn't think you could get sore, and so I started training more, and the kickboxing actually came a lot easier, but it was harder. But it wasn't as fun. The jujitsu was harder, but it was a lot more fun.
right, yeah,
And my very first class, I had this guy, Ryan Johnson was his name, probably 100 pounds lighter than me, 200 pounds lighter than me. He was like 200, I was like 400. He gets me down, takes my back, and just flattens me out, and I was completely helpless. And I'm like, I want to do this. This is great.
yeah,
So, I trained that for a while, and I started training a lot more kickboxing just because it came better to me and competed. And it just got to the point where I was tired of doing cardio every day, tired of lifting every day. I really wanted to drink a beer and eat a carb. I was down to 265 pounds. I was in great shape, but I wasn't having fun. So I was like, well, I think I'm going to quit this and I'm going to start doing just the jujitsu stuff. And so, I kind of, you know, started on that. And so it took me 6 years to get my blue belt,
yeah,
which was, that was a fun path. After about 3 years, my coach was like, hey, you need to test for your blue belt. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then his black belt didn't show up to the blue belt test. So he's like, I'll give him a green belt. So I got a green belt, which is, kind of a big deal. And so I had my green belt for a few years, and then we got under
Now,
another
did you
black.
have a problem when you got the green belt getting mobbed by the ladies? Was it
Oh yeah, they were all over the place for
an
sure. Yeah,
issue?
yeah, for sure.
Get a text from
So,
random
so
numbers,
yeah, hey, no
random
big deal, but
kids.
it's it's a green belt. No, yeah, it's keep your distance. Looking's for free, but touching will cost you.
Exactly.
So so we got under another black belt, and he's like, "What is this? This is a kid's belt." He's like, "Do you have a no stripe white belt?" And so my coach gave me a no stripe white belt, and that was after I was probably 5 years in at that point. So I was starting back over at a no stripe white belt, and then he promoted everybody in the building except me, and just looked at me and said, "Not today, my friend." And I was like, no, I didn't care. I'd already been 5 years without a belt. I really didn't even almost care. So, I had that and I rocked it. And then a couple more years later, that guy went back to Brazil. So we got under another black belt, Andre Montero, who we're under now. And he gave me my blue belt after 6 years and 1 month.
Okay.
And so from then on, I was hooked. And then when I was a blue belt, that coach decided to shut down the grappling program. And me and some friends were like, well, we kind of want to still train together. So we looked for, a garage we could put some mats in. And another guy that had used to train with us said, hey, I've already got a building with some mats in it. Come on over. You can start a gym there.
Yeah.
And so that was me and Mike Pranker, who's my co-owner now at the gym. So we went there and opened up this spot, and I was talking to Professor Montero. I was like, I don't know what to call this place. He's like, call it A-Force, Missouri. A-Force is his, home gym in New York. And I was like, oh, wow, cool. Okay. He thinks this will be a real place. So I guess I'll try and treat it that way. So from then on, it's just been, Mike and I, had to kind of train each other. We've always just kind of, we've never really been under a coach. So since blue belt, it's been, if there's a seminar we're going, or I'm going to go cross train somewhere, or, if I can learn something from a video, whatever. And so we have, Mike and I have gotten every belt, blue through black together, standing right next to each other. So, and he, beats the crap out of me more often than not.
Right. But it feels good that one time when you actually get him.
Yeah. I got him once last week, and he's like, man, that wasn't very fun. I was like, yes. All right. Now go back to kicking the hell out of me.
Yeah.
I got a little cocky. I was rolling with him, and I hit a low single on him, and I said, well, that's 2. Held up the number 2. And he goes, okay. About 20 seconds later, he sweeps me. He's like, well, I guess that's 2-2. And I was like, you're right. I'm sorry. But, we have the funnest rolls. And, when we first opened up, it would be just me and him. Nobody'd show up to the, small gym, nobody'd show up. Yeah. And so just be us rolling with each other for an hour, and then some of the best training sessions of my life. Hey, why did this happen? Let's fix that. Let's, why is this going? Because we didn't have, we didn't really have a coach to yell at us and be like, what are you doing? Quit doing stupid shit, Yeah. Can I say shit on here?
No, you can. No, you can say no. What was funny was my other podcast I have, the Big C Bigger T podcast. Shameless plug. My co-host is my best friend from 6th grade, Travis Johnson. He's a preacher, so we can't cuss on there. And he edits this. He edits this morning. I said, "Look, man, I watch my language on the podcast because of respect for you. But if I want to say fuck on my podcast, I'm going to say fuck."
Just add in some beeps, it'll be fine. Fix it in post.
Beep, beep, beep. Because anybody knows me that know that, like, I taught class last night, and I tell the kid, not the kids, they don't let me teach the kids class, which is why I would never be, like, I opened my own gym for a little bit, was not successful at it, and I have crazy amount of respect for you for having your own gym and building something and passing and all the steps you do to get the knowledge that you need to get doing seminars and all that. So that's me stroking your ego.
No, well, thank you. I needed that.
Enjoy that. Enjoy that.
Thank you. I need a little help. I'm out. I'm out for 6 weeks right now. Just had a knee surgery on Friday, so I need all the positive stuff I can get.
Positive vibe you get.
Build me up a little bit,
Yeah, and that was. So I tell the adults, I'm like, look, my class is like any other class with just a lot more cursing.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm like, you enjoy it. But and one thing is, like, I usually message somebody like, hey, you want to come on the podcast? And then I spend like 2 months trying to actually get them on the podcast. And you had your knee surgery. So I'm like, hey, you want to come on the podcast?
Yeah, it's good timing.
When you want to do it, I'm free.
And then you said we could talk about cookies. So I was definitely on board.
I did say we could talk about cookies. So let's talk about the cookies. Let's go on. I mean, now you came and competed at the AGF in Conway, Arkansas.
Yes, sir.
I'd never met you before. It's the first time I'd ever met you. Now, you compete in that tournament. You competed at gi and no gi. Which one's now? If you're going to compete, if you're going to do super fight, you had your preference. Do you prefer the gi or do you prefer no gi?
Man, it's hard, So I started, when I started with MMA, it's a lot of submission wrestling. So I've got a soft spot for all that, and I like choking the feet, but I like all the lapel shenanigans too. I like, wrapping somebody up with the tail of their lapel and, tying them up and choking them that way. I like it both. I try not to discriminate really. I'd say I'd probably have to go in the gi if I was doing a big thing, just because if I get tired, I can slow down the pace a lot more. And, as a big fat guy, more often than not, I'm going to get a little bit tired,
Right. No. And, my last guest on here was Jerry Burns. I did a super fight against him, and me and you and him. I got called for stalling against both of you guys.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's pretty much a given. I've seen, the more ultra heavyweights fights I watch, the more stalling calls I see. And it's I had one of my students get called for stalling after the first 20 seconds of a match and at Master Worlds, and I was just like, that seems a little fast. But I mean, you and I, it was it's two immovable objects trying to go at each other. And I know you asked me quite nicely. Well, you kind of bribed me to pull guard, and I was like, never really tried to pull guard before. It's just never really part of my game.
Didn't I offer you? I offered you cash.
You said give me $10, and that $10 sounded really nice, but I was like, man, I'm gonna look like an idiot pulling guard because it's not really something I've ever done. And then you're like, all right, I'm gonna pull, and I was like, okay, cool. And I think it was that match where I got yelled at after the match. I was in your guard and I was trying to post up in combat base, and my knee locked up. That was when I realized I had a meniscus issue. My knee locked up and I fell over, and I got yelled at. They've got this black belt that comes up from Arkansas, Luis Rubalcaba. And he was like,
yeah, I know.
Why'd you just fall over? Why'd you just fall over like that? What are you doing? I was like, my knee locked up. I couldn't move. He's like, oh, sorry, bro.
Yeah, I didn't know what had happened because I was like, man, I was kind of at the angle of a Kimura sweep, but I really wasn't because I'd went for the leg lasso.
Uh-huh.
As you know, for those of you that listening, leg lasso is where you kind of take your leg and you wrap it under arm, hook your foot in the armpit. Is that a decent description?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That's decent. And then you kind of controlling the wrist with your hands.
Uh-huh.
And of course I did the bait, like, come right over here, pass my guard. I'm not going to bicep slice you.
Go right ahead, bud.
Go right on ahead. Nothing bad's going to happen. Which I hit that sweep that I was going for on you against one AGF, but
Mhm.
I didn't know bicep slices were illegal at purple belt and AGF.
Oh.
Because you have the bicep slicer when you come up too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you don't lift your hips up, it's going to slice.
Yeah, I didn't. And so I'm like, man, crap, I could have had the submission. I'd go for like 5 more minutes. I lost my next match because I was dadgum exhausted because 6-minute rounds ticked me off.
I was actually happy to see it was only 6. I was like, oh, sweet. That's what we do in the gym. I can do, 6 is fine. I'm not going to say it's fine. 6 is better than 10, though.
Right. No, I did. When me and Goforth, who was the other guy in our division, Shane, we did a super fight against each other in Little Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And I come out, all the matches have been like 5-6 minutes. We were brown belts at the time, and we come out and they go 7, put 7 on the clock. And I look at them like, whose idea is this bullshit?
Hold on, go ahead and start the clock. I'll be there in a couple minutes.
like me and Shane are just in the back talking, just chilling, and they have to come get us because we didn't hear them call our names. So then we go out there and we try to murder each other, and then we went to overtime in that one, and that was the one where we started flying off the mats because the tiebreaker's first takedown.
Right.
Or if you can force your guy off the mat, and he had rolled his ankle, and so on last one, I just straight up football run blocked him off the mat. My coach was yelling at me to do it. So no, did you really on that match? If you remember, we got called for stalling, and me and you were both actively looking for takedowns. Like at no point do I think either. I know I wasn't stalling. I never felt like you were stalling.
Yeah, I was like, if I'm stalling, why am I so dang tired?
Yeah, I don't think people appreciate the effort it takes for us to move each other.
Yeah, for sure.
Energy it
for
takes.
A man, one mat.
Yeah, and you didn't. We glossed over this, but you said you were about 400 pounds when you started.
Yes, sir.
You were at 260. You got down to 265 by the time you got your blue belt.
Yeah, I was back up to about I think I was 295 when we had our match.
I think I remembered your card, and you probably remember. I remember it's like 286, 2 something.
Could be, yeah.
I was
way in with my.
I was around.
I got my backpack on. I got my jug of water. They're like, "You want to set that down?" I'm like, "Why? I'm not making 235."
I tried to give them all the time to write like 900 on there. They won't do it. But I'm like you. I weigh with everything on. I think I was
right.
I said 310 on the scale.
Yeah.
So it was. So yeah, but at no point did I feel like we were stalling, and I'm like, well, this guy's just going to keep.
Well, yeah, they got to keep it moving. I get it. I'm not upset about it. Just obviously I need to work on my takedowns a lot more.
No, well, me and you both. Well, you know, and I work my wrestling all the time.
Yeah.
I work out with, but still, even working wrestling all the time, there's a difference between going live against you or going live against me in a tournament.
Yeah, for sure. And
It,
then, so
it,
I've found that even if it's a white belt or a blue belt, if they've played football, they're hard to take down, and they're good at getting you to the ground. And we've got 4 or 5 guys that played college football in our gym, white belts and blue belts, and they know how to use the center of gravity to their advantage, and they're hard to move around. And I saw in one of your podcasts that you played a little bit of the foosball, so
yeah,
then you get somebody like that, then plus get them training. It's not easy to really move them around, and then you start getting the football players that learn, like a football player. I think it's an easy transition from not easy. It's a smoother transition from football to wrestling because just kind of a basic tackle converts really well to like a double leg, kind of like that, and blocking is kind of good base. I'm not trying not to fall over, whatever. But you
right.
start teaching those collegiate wrestler guys judo, I don't think that should be allowed. Those college football guys just, here, let me pull you onto me and throw you through the air. No, I don't think that should be allowed. That's not fun for me.
Dude, I talked about this on my podcast with I had Jonas Goins on one, and we were talking about, I did a tournament with him, and there's a guy named Daniel Williams out of Fayetteville, Arkansas. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, he's a good
He's
guy.
like 6'9", super sweetest guy in the world.
Oh yeah.
But screw that guy. You shouldn't be that good.
He came up and trained with us one day, and I was like really worried about the takedowns. I'd seen some of his judo and heard about some of his judo and seen some of his matches, and I'm like, man, I'm kind of worried about this takedown. He pulls guard, puts me in spider guard. Now, I don't have a problem with spider guard. I got long arms, usually not super hard for me to pass.
Yeah.
Spider guard with a guy Daniel's size is a whole different beast right there. I was like, well, I live here now, I guess, until he decides to sweep me. I can't step to the side. I'm like a puppet just floating around. I'm like, oh no, I'm on my tippy toes just trying to keep my balance. I was like, well, this is fun. And I kind of felt bad for everyone I ever did that to.
He just stood up in the middle of the mat like this against me. And I just was like, well, I guess I'll go establish grips. And I've been working wrestling. I don't know why I went and like, I'm going to go get judo grips against the judo guy. I wonder what's going to happen. The score was 2-0 within 10 seconds of the match start. This was what had happened. And it was just downhill from there. It's like, he took me down so fast, he literally beat me twice. Because my mind was not in the second match. That's
yeah. Sometimes sometimes someone hits something on you so well that you're just like, your brain just leaves and you're just like, oh man, what? And you can't even regroup because you're still trying to process what just happened, 30 seconds ago. You're like, what? Am I alive? Do my feet still work? Like, oh, what's happening here? Oh, why is my arm bending the wrong way? This is not, oh, okay. I guess I'll tap.
Yeah.
And then you're like, does anybody have a video of what just happened? Can somebody hold me and tell me everything's going to be okay?
That one was, and it was AGF Nationals, which everybody's kind of got to stay up top now. Like no one can come down. Like there's very little room, which I get it. There's hardly any room on the floor, but now, how many students do you have now at the gym? How's that going?
Yeah, we're still pretty small. We've only got like 750 square feet of mats. I think last time I looked, we've got right around 50 students.
Well, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, and they're all of the greatest guys. We've had just such good luck with so many good people coming in through the doors, and and then they're not all just we'll have a cop over here with some guy who obviously did 8 bong rips before class over here, and then they're just rolling each other, laughing, whatever, and it seems like at least half of the gym is engineers. I'm not really sure what that's about, but they all seem to understand joint mechanics really well, so that's cool. And we've got just a good group, young guys, old guys. We've got one guy that trains 6 times a week, and he's 60 years old.
Awesome.
And he competes at Master Worlds, and just got a bronze medal at Pans this year, and And people roll with him. And they're like, oh, okay, well, I'll have to take it easy on this old guy. And then he's taking their back and choking them out, And it's just really fun to have a good mix of people like that. And then you obviously have the younger athletic guys that are gonna spin around like a Tasmanian devil and do whatever they can to impose their will. But it's good to have a good mix, and it's, when they're all good people that you can trust, it's
Yeah.
good too. I'm not going in there worried about, well, they're not roll that guy because he'll hurt me. So it's really good. More important than quantity to me is the quality of, you have good people, and you create a good environment, then more people are going to show up, and it'll just happen, kind of organically that way.
No, because it's very important, I think, to have a good vibe at your gym.
For sure, yeah.
And you know what I'm talking about. People walk in, they can tell, like, oh, the vibes.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer you can walk into any building, any business. You can feel, number one, you feel tension.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool, laid back. And that's what I love about where I train at Gravitas.
Nice plug.
Affiliated with LDMA. But I also got that one right there.
Oh,
yeah. Oh yeah, I was like, man, I've been with Dream longer than I've been with both my wives. I guess I could, I can go and get the ink put on the arm. So,
there you go.
No, but you can definitely tell the vibe. And it was it's awesome that you pretty much had a gym and then you started your own.
Mm-hmm.
But you saw the need for it. Now you did say earlier that you went to a lot of seminars.
Oh yeah, a ton. Yeah.
I've hit a lot of seminars, and we're in different boats because you kind of were forced to be the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
It sounded like at Blue Belt, you had to kind of start being the teacher.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's kind of how Dream kind of got his start. He had, my head instructor, he had to go to seminars. They call him the godfather of Arkansas Jiu-Jitsu. He's not
cool.
here, so I'm not gonna kiss his ass right now. But he kind of, but he talks about that. He goes, I had to go to these seminars. Who are some of the best seminars that you've been to? That you cannot say your instructor. You have to be somebody outside A-Force. So.
I tell you what, I've been very fortunate to have been to a lot of seminars. I think maybe my single favorite one was Joe Stevenson. We had him come in from California.
Oh, wow.
I literally had a friend, Don McGuire, text me. He's like, hey, you want to have Joe Stevenson for a seminar? And I thought he was messing with me. He's like, how about this date? And I was like, what? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so Don's like, all right, I'll set it up. I'll send him over. And so Joe Stevenson came in and he said, I'm going to do an hour gi, an hour no gi. And he would be like, all right, when I grab this grip, I'm actually going to wait till I hear the bones splintering. I'm like, whoa, don't do that. Like, let's not actually splinter any bones. But just his understanding of grappling. And he said he was going to do 2 hours. It was closer to 3.5 hours of just like the most in-depth, that guy had been grappling since he was a child with wrestling and judo and jiu-jitsu and obviously, MMA. And I was just, I was expecting to be good, but I was not expecting him to just be like the way that he kind of teaches things and then just the little details that he had. I mean, it was an elite level grappling seminar, and I thought it was probably one of my favorite ones. And I've had a lot. I've been to a lot of great seminars where I'm just blown away. So, for me to put him up there is, to me, I think that's a pretty big deal.
Right. Now, grappling, you're on bottom. What's your go-to sweep?
Go-to sweep. I like to do, I call it the power sweep. It's kind of it's really a flower sweep, but you're using the lapel over their arm to kind of pin their arm in like this. And then you can actually put it behind the head and grab kind of a Bravo grip with it.
Okay.
So even if you're not getting the sweep, you can actually end up with the choke or an arm bar. And then when you come up to mount with it, you're set up right there for, your chokes or like a little like kind of wakigatami arm bar where you're bending up with your elbow kind of stuff. And that's probably my favorite one, just because I like the lapel shenanigans, but the first real sweep I ever learned was just the head and arm flower sweep, old Paulson style, so it kind of just tied right into that. And then so my love of submission wrestling and my love of lapel shenanigans together in that sweep, and it's a good system for you can. I hope you're taking notes for the next time you want to kick my ass. So you can use it for a back take there, or you can even turn it into a pocket sweep from there if you hip out to the side and grab and come back in or whatever. So that's really my favorite thing to do there from the guard.
Yeah. And I will say this, 5-0 is not necessarily an ass whooping.
I felt like it.
Well,
You got on top and you're like, hey man, I'm going to stay here if that's all right. And I tried to do something about it, and I was like, well, I just can't move. This guy's got a, you got some downward pressure, which I'm assuming is from the cookies,
yeah.
and I feel like I'm pretty good at dealing with pressure and moving around, but it was like I was pinned in wrestling class, just shoulders to the mat, and I was like, I can't even move, can't do anything. This isn't very fun.
Yeah. Well, you talk so well about Joe Stevenson's. A guy named Marcelo Piera goes by Pato.
Mhm.
He actually, because my side control was just, it wasn't good for a guy my size that should be, and he really helped me fix my side control.
Mm-hmm. Well, it
And
worked.
I've got a class I teach. Yeah, I got a class I teach. We call it FGJJ for Fat Guy Jiu-Jitsu.
Uh-huh.
I teach it Saturday mornings. But I've fixed all them guys' side control where they're doing like good side control. Like I feel like I'm not trying to toot my own horn. But I feel like I got good side control, and you kind of agree with it a little bit. So
yeah,
I've helped fix a lot of their guys' side control. And they're like, man, you changed my game when you fixed that. Like, well, thank you.
It used to be, the heavy top pressure used to be my favorite thing. When I got my blue belt, my coach and Professor Montero took me aside, and they're like, listen, quit playing on the bottom so much. You have to fix your top game. You got to work on your top pressure.
Right.
It's like, you got to train for yourself. Go be nice to people, smash them, work on that top pressure, fix it. I was like, oh, okay. So all through blue belt, it was just me learning to smash people, and all through purple belt. So that coincided with right when we opened up our gym. And so that's what I wanted. I had this new shiny toy I wanted to play with. I wanted to show everybody else. So I taught all of our guys just, that super heavy top pressure, heavy passing, heavy top pressure, which is great for tournaments. They all did great when they competed. It was horrible for student retention because nobody wanted to come in and just get smashed by everybody. Right. Nobody wanted to come in and just get stuck under side control the whole class. So especially, when you teach a big guy, first thing you teach him, side control. Okay, great. Well, next time you teach guard, he's going to ignore you because all he's thinking about is how he can squish you from side control, and he doesn't care. Right. So I kind of had to change up my thing from, and I still catch myself sometimes fighting the urge with new guys. I'm like, well, no, you're on top. Give them that shoulder pressure right there. I'm like, no, I'm just going to teach all these new guys, especially the big new guys. I'm going to teach them some guard first. I'm going to get them really comfortable and happy with that, and then maybe I'll start some passing, and then we'll work on some other stuff. And then, I'll give you control, but I'm not going to teach you the pressure yet because I don't want them to just rely on that, and I felt like it was kind of hindering their games. But the guy with the meanest pressure in our gym never uses pressure. The guy that owns the gym with me, Mike Pranker, he's only like 215, and his top pressure is, it's horrendous. I mean, it just kills me. And he'll use it once every couple of years in a row with me, and that's it. Tournament, never use top pressure. It's like, what are you doing? Use that. You're going to ruin lives with that. Do it. Go ahead. It's like, oh, no, I don't really like to. He'll get on top and throw up some chokes, but he wants to play from his guard. That's where he wants to be, So it's crazy how some people can get so good at that and not want to use it, and some people just are barely good at it, and that's all they want to use,
Well, no, we've got a couple like 130-pound, 140-pound blue belt. I mean, brown belts now in our gym. And they're like some of my favorite guys to roll against. But I pretty much, because I'm a big guy, I start every roll off on my butt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
And then I'm like, okay, if you can, with them two, especially, if I get on top, they know I can, they know I can be fat and muscle something.
Right.
I mean, the paper cutter is going to be there. The Americana is going to be there. All them fun big guy submissions.
Right.
They're there. I usually just let them get a guard, let them sweep me and do it again because it's a good opportunity to work that.
Sure.
Is that kind of your philosophy against some of the smaller guys and just, class?
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
obviously, really if you're doing a tournament in absolute, fuck them. But
yeah, man, that's kind of my game all the time is I'm going to start on bottom. A lot of times I'll start in bottom side control just because I was like, I really want to get really good at escaping this side control, and then, a good coach will say, don't be there. And I'm like, no, I'm going to be there. I'm going to learn to escape this. But, the more I've trained, the more I'm like, yeah, escaping works, but it's sure a lot easier if I just don't get there. That really helps. So then I started, my guard has always been a sticking point for me. Like when I was a purple belt, I was in Wichita, and I asked Jake Smith, one of their black belts over there at our sister gym, plug for Fox Fitness in Wichita. I asked Jake Smith to give me a seminar on guard retention, and I said, I want you to teach me like I'm a 5-year-old, like I don't know anything. Because the worst part is someone sees a colored belt and they just assume you know things, so they're not teaching you,
Right, yeah.
And so I'm like, give it to me just real basic. And he's like, well, what are you doing with your hands? Why aren't your hands full? Like, what are you talking about? He's like, you gotta have some stuff in your hands there. Get your hands full, get some grips. He's like, you need to have 3 or 4 points of contact. And I'm like, what? He's like, oh, this is cool. And I kind of played around with that in varying degrees, and got a couple of sweeps really working that I really liked. And then at the beginning of last year, I was like, this is bullshit. I got to fix my guard. And so I started every roll in my guard and really started working on some stuff. And Rubalcava helped me a ton with that stuff, and I was just trying to make, I just wanted every roll. I was like, in my guard, I'm trying to work this. Don't let me do this. Let's go. So then I went to our A4 summer camp in Wichita, and I started every roll with Professor Montero on my butt. And he's like, what are you doing? You're not going to win. I was like, I got to fix this guard, man. I was like, it's real bad. People are passing it too easy. I know what to do. I just can't keep it long enough to do it. He's like, well, what you need to do is you work on getting on top. I was like, okay, well, that's I got to hold the guard long enough to get on top. He's like, create space and stand up right now. And I'm like, wait a minute, neat. And my brain just wouldn't pick up little simple things like that, So then I have that with the guard stuff that I can attack. And I started every roll that whole weekend in my guard. And I don't recommend doing that when you're rolling with like Pimenta. I don't.
Yeah, no.
He's gonna choke you in about 20 seconds in that, But I was just trying to different reactions to different things, and keeping my hips tight and keeping my grips, and keeping off the center line one side or the other, and just really kind of hammering on that. And I'm still starting most of my rolls, from my guard, just so I can kind of work on that, and it's helped me a ton.
No, and you sound like you're a lot like we're a lot alike. Like I'll get into a sticking point. I'll get stuck in a position and I'm like, okay. I had a guy back when I was a blue belt that I couldn't beat his turtle at all. Like he would turtle up. I couldn't get out. I couldn't do anything. And then I spent an entire afternoon at work on the computer attacking the turtle.
Just killing the turtle.
Just killing the turtle, killing the clock. Just riding the boss's dime, learning how to.
Oh yeah.
And actually, I actually won a Magic Master Worlds with the clock choke that I learned.
Oh, nice. Love that choke.
Learned doing that. Yeah, I felt so bad. I went again. I beat the guy at Master Worlds at Purple Belt at with a clock choke, and we went. And this is me just being too nice for my own good, I think. But I went against the same guy in Long Beach because I enjoy traveling and going to different tournaments. We ran each other in Vegas, and I'm going to ask you about Vegas here in a second. But I went out, me and my wife went to Long Beach, and I did the tournament out there, went against him. We were in the exact same spot, and the clock choke was open. And I really didn't feel like he could beat me, and I just couldn't do it to him again. Like I was up on points, and I just like, I can't beat him the exact same way.
I've done that. I've done that same thing. With Go Forth. I had his back, and I just saw him have a match against John House. It was no-gi, and he had his back. And Shane's really good at hiding that chin, so House just kind of cranked his neck sideways there, and Shane's chin was back behind here. And I was like, oh no, and he's kind of moving us around. And so I took Shane's back, and he's tucking the chin. I'm like, can't do it, man. He's like, man, just do it, brother. It's fine. And I'm just like, I can't do it, man. I was like, I turned a little bit and I'm like, oh no, I can't bring myself to do it. And then, I got tired and he ended up escaping, and I think he won.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I think I was up 6-0 and he still won.
Kane will put himself in some wonky positions.
Yeah.
He was doing something. One of the ones I didn't do, where he was like just doing a trust fall and trying to win. I'm like, hey man, if it works for you. Now I ran into you at Master Worlds,
Yes, sir.
Now I'm not going to ask about the tournament. But what did you do for fun while you were out in Las Vegas? What's your go-to?
I talked about food and I read about food and I went and ate food, you
Oh,
know.
where did you go eat?
We went to there's a place down on Fremont. I think there's one on the strip now too called Nacho Daddy. And they just got
Okay.
some great nachos. You get like you got like a filet mignon and shrimp nacho kind of stuff, just kind of like an higher level kind of nacho. We ate there a lot. We went to a Korean barbecue place, one of those places where you cook your own food at the table. And I think we offended them with how much we ate. It was three ultra heavies and, one
Right.
super heavy guy. And we're just going. And we're just eating and eating and eating. We just keep ordering, keep ordering, keep ordering. And then we're done. And she's like, "You guys want ice cream?" And I think she was expecting us to say no. We're like, "Yeah, bring it on."
Yeah, bring
And,
on that.
and I can't for the life remember what that place is called, but it was great. It was delicious.
Oh no,
Um, there's a real great Thai place out there. Not Thai. Um, yeah, Thai place out there called Lotus of Siam, and they're actually a Michelin star restaurant, and they're great. And I didn't
oh
get to go. And I talk about it the whole time, like, when are we going to go? We got to go. We got to go. And we didn't get to go. So I want to make sure we get to go this year. But a lot of the guys I was with, well, not a lot of them. Two of the guys I was with had to make weight still, so they didn't want to go off the rails. And I was fortunate. I got to compete on Thursday, so I'm done. I can eat whatever I want. I can have a couple beers. My stomach's hurting. I don't care. Whatever. So everyone else is kind of in a worse situation than I was for food. But man, we really didn't do
not
much else.
being an ultra heavyweight, you ain't got that weight cut at all.
Yeah, they didn't even weigh me. I was like, oh, neat. I don't even see the scale. Cool. But yeah, that was, I didn't, I'm not really an adventurous guy anyway. We walked around, we did some people watching, whatever, have an old fashioned here or there or whatever. But mainly it's food, we're like, hey, we heard this place has good gelato. Let's go over there, you know? So that was most of it. You know, but Pizza Rock down by Fremont,
Okay.
famous, fantastic pizza place.
So you
Just
spend a lot of
great.
time on Fremont now.
We went there. We went there 2 different nights. Yeah.
Okay.
But I like that. We used to cook a barbecue contest down there right off of Fremont before they started doing construction and got rid of the contest. So I kind of got to where I really liked that area. I kind of knew it a little bit better, and I know the places. And it's when we were there this last year though, it was a zoo. There's 8 million people there, and it's all fenced off, weird, and because of the construction. And they've got security checkpoints because there's so many people in there. Oh man, it was not very fun. And I know, like, when I was there, I was there in 2005, the first time I got married. My mom was there, and
Now,
she's
did
like,
you
"What is
get
this?"
divorced at Blue Belt?
No,
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 because if so, you would be the fourth person I've had on this podcast, coming myself, that's been divorced.
no, no, I met my wife. I was 2 years into training when I met my wife. So,
Oh, yeah.
my first wife, it was way before I trained or anything.
Yeah.
I was fresh out of college and just making dumb decisions. But
Yeah.
my mom hated Fremont then. She's like, "What?" She's like, "Why are there so many people? And what's this roof above us with all these lights? This is silly," because she used to go to Vegas all the time, back in like the 80s and 90s, and she was like, "They need to quit changing this. This is terrible." So now I've become the grumpy old person. I'm like, "Oh, this is terrible. You got to get all these people out of here."
Too much dadgum racket.
Yeah, it's so loud. Everyone stinks like BO and bad weed. It's
No,
gross.
no, I say I refused. In 2021, I went did Master Worlds. It's my last. I think I competed on Friday. I competed on Thursday. Yeah, I think I competed Friday morning or Thursday. Maybe I can't remember which day it was. Anyway, long story short, and I got my purple. I'm a black belt that Tuesday when we got back.
Oh wow.
I got food poisoning from eating a chicken quesadilla on Fremont.
Oh no.
And then I competed with
Ooh,
food
no.
poisoning like
That's
a
fun.
Yeah, no, I don't recommend it at all.
Yeah, I probably won't be doing that.
That's one of the
I
things.
sure hope anyway.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd do it again. I was like, man, I wound it up in the emergency room in Las Vegas, and that was the story. Was I ate a bad chicken quesadilla. I wanted to at least be a fun story.
Yeah, you can just leave out the last half and let them, build their own cool story around
Yeah,
it.
but like this time, if the restaurant wasn't owned by Gordon Ramsay, I didn't eat there.
There you go.
But I was hurt. I had surgery, so I was able to
Mhm.
kind of just enjoy like just Vegas,
Yeah, yeah,
I
oh,
don't
yeah,
have to worry about a large man trying to choke me.
sure,
I don't
yeah.
have to worry about going on flow grappling and seeing myself get ragdogged by Gangrel.
Well, let's tone down the personal attacks here.
I'm sorry. Now, all right. Now we'll start wrapping this up, bud. It's been a lot of fun, but
Yeah, for sure.
I promised that we could talk about them. So
Is it the cookies?
after the tournament, we I'm sitting there and I'd done a favor for somebody and they repaid me by giving me a bag full of homemade chocolate chip cookies.
Oh my gosh, they were so good.
And I looked at you to my right. I'm like, hey, you want a cookie? And so just give me a review on the cookies. And I will let the lady who made the cookies know that we discussed it.
So I'm not a big sweets guy, but when I get into cookies, I'm going chocolate chip. Like that's my go-to, right?
Right.
So I just gotten, I don't really go into a lot of matches with any expectations of winning or losing. So I wasn't like upset that I lost or anything.
Right, yeah.
I was upset that I was done for the day. I was like, oh, I kind of like to roll somewhere, whatever. And then you're like, hey, you want a cookie? And I was like, this is like the clouds parted and the sun just came down right on the cookies. I was like, oh, yeah, I want a cookie. Heck yeah. And we're walking up there to get our medals. I'm just chomping on the most delicious cookie. Oh, it was a great cookie. It was, it wasn't dry. It was, moist, thick, good big chunks of chocolate. It's nice. It's a good cookie.
Because there's actually a couple guys that trained with me a little bit. I've got I got a big old bite of cookie, and I got my arms around both of them.
Yeah, I just think it's a big lump of chew or something in there.
Yeah, so they, it's funny because you'd posted that in Girth Squad, which Carlito says he still thinks that's the biggest podium, like literally by mass they'd ever had. I mean, it was between me, you, and Goforth, it was well over 900 pounds.
Yeah, it's a good podium. It's well constructed.
Yeah, it was a big, not in terms of talent or name recognition, but just pure body mass.
Yeah,
the biggest podium, and you posted it in Girth Squad, the Facebook group, and you had posted about me giving you the cookie, and like it kind of, I don't want to say it went viral, but it got quite a bit of likes and comments, and that I sent it to the girl. I was like, and I just like, hey, your cookies are going viral, and she goes, well, you're focusing on the wrong way. Your act of kindness made someone's name better. Well, I don't know about that. I was just trying to keep from eating all the cookies myself.
Well, I tell you, it sets a dangerous precedent because now anytime I compete against you, I'm gonna be like, "Where's cookies, homie?"
See, if I do a tournament and I see your name on it and Goforth's name on there, I probably will bring cookies.
Sweet, I'm in.
Now, when you do a tournament, do you compete in the absolute at all, or do you
usually? Yeah, I do just because I want more matches.
Yeah. See, I don't like doing it because I think it's an ego thing for me. And it may be something that I need to get over.
Right.
Because it's one of them deals. I mean, me and you've been doing it long enough to know there's a 160-pound guy that can kick my ass.
Yeah, for sure.
And you know this. Like I could watch you go against the smaller guy and see you lose, and it wouldn't be a shock to me. Right. And vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
But to your person that doesn't know jiu-jitsu, they're like, oh my God. Look at that 160-pounder just beat up that 300-pounder.
Well, I
just really don't see a lot of reward in it for me, so that's why I try to avoid it.
No, I've never been good at anything in my life, so I never got to really develop an ego. So I really don't have that competitive thing in me. I just I want to get better at stuff, and when I compete, I'm competing just because I want to get better. And I've noticed I competed 5 or 6 times last year, and it helped me a ton, with my rolling. And so that's the whole reason I'm competing. I want to get as many matches as possible. But I've also noticed that anytime I've competed in the absolute, it's only big guys anyway. It's going to be the same guys that were in my regular bracket. So, it's not like I'm coming down. And I have seen, not to say that's not going to happen. I've been in plenty of comps where these guys would have been in my absolute. And then, I get really glad that I wasn't in the absolute. There's some scary guys out there. I mean, there's scary guys at blue belt. Think about, blue belts and purple belts and brown belts. And then you get the guys that are black belts, especially the guys that have been black belts 10 years. Right. Some of those guys are terrifying. And Some of the guys are so good that they're really controlled with it, and they're not going to hurt you. But you get the competitive guy that just got his black belt, and he only rolls when he's getting ready for Hands of Worlds, and he snaps your arm off of your body, and then you don't get to work for 6 or 8 weeks. So I kind of worry about that sometimes more than anything else. It's just the injury aspect of and I've gotten pretty good at when I see someone start moving fast, my elbows start getting in real close.
Right.
I'm like, well, I'd like to not break that off of my body.
Now I did pans. Because I'm a dumbass. My first black belt tournament was the pans.
Yeah, I'll go
in
big and go
Orlando.
home.
Man, I'm like, you're going to jump off in the deep end of the pool, jump off in the deep end. So I'd messaged Dring before, and I said, look, I said, I'm either going to have to drop out or I could move down an age group. But the problem moving down the age group is Bruno Bastos is in that division. Gabriel Gonzaga is in that division. I mean, I take it you know who Gabriel Gonzaga is. Yeah. Head kick Mirko Krokop, and he's like, you're fine, just move on down. And so I moved down from Master 4 to Master 3 because I'm that fucking old. So I moved down, and I ended up drawing the guy that won Brown Belt Master Worlds first round. He gets the better of me, but it proved to me that I could compete at black belt.
Yeah, but how cool is it that you can go out there and maybe you'll get to compete against Bastos or Cyborg or Gonzaga? Like to me, that's part of the draw for it. I'm like, well,
oh yeah, it is.
I don't care if I lose to him. How awesome would it be?
Right.
I get to hug Cyborg after a match.
Yeah, I'm walking out of the pen. I just lost. I'm all sweaty, and I'm like, "You're overweight father of two." Just yeah, look at that. I did jiu-jitsu. And Gabriel Gonzaga is just looking pissed off at the world.
Oh yeah.
Just popping back and forth. I'm like, calm down.
There's levels.
There's levels to it, but. I think I think me and you both are doing a good job staying active on the local level and just keeping busy, not, holding off father time as long as we can.
That's right. Yeah.
I look forward to when your knee heals and my right hand works more than half the time. I was teaching last night. I was trying to teach a choke and I was like, yep, can't do this one.
Yeah. That's kind of how I was with if I try and go single leg X with my left leg, it was locking in place. And that was really when I decided I needed to get it looked at,
Yeah.
Otherwise, it really didn't bother me. But, it locks up there, or if I'm trying like a step over armbar from side control, it locks in place. I'm like, well, this is probably something to get looked at. So hopefully the other knee's not bad enough that it needs surgery, but it'll be getting looked at as soon as this one's healed up.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about it is, you play this game long enough, there's going to be injuries. You've been at it since 2005.
Yeah, 2006. Yeah,
2006. I've been going at it since 2008. I found my medal, one of my medals from the very first jiu-jitsu tournament I did.
Oh, I've got all mine hanging up in the gym.
Yeah.
Like, what are these little tiny yin and yang medals here? I'm like, back in the day, tournaments didn't really have rules, and you got like this 3-cent medal, and it was awesome.
It's always been about the pride. I don't care about the medals. I've got a couple that I've kept here, but most of them I've just given to the gym so they can hang them up.
Well, they look
that way when someone says, you know what we're talking about, I'm like, right over there it says I do. You see that Chicago Open gold medal up there? Let me tell you up there.
Tell you about that.
Yeah. The whippersnappers. Michael, it has been an absolute pleasure.
Man, it's been great. Yeah.
You said you weren't very interesting, but I completely disagree.
Oh, well, thank you.
I've had a terrific time, and thank you so much for coming on. And
man, thank you for having me.
Plug your gym one more time and your websites and all that. And
it's A Force BJJ Missouri. We're in Webb City, Missouri, which is just right outside of Joplin. aforcebjjmo.com. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram when I remember to actually log into it. I think there's a Twitter. I've never logged into it, but I think I made one.
Yeah. You didn't pay for the blue check mark, did you?
No, that'd be cool though. I probably should.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Michael. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
We'll eventually have an episode 4. We'll be out on YouTube soon. So
excellent. Sounds great.
Like it and subscribe.
All right. Have a good day.